Shalom, and thank you for watching this video from HaDerekh Synagogue. I hope you are liking the content we are bringing you. If you could like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, that will greatly help us. And to further help bring great content to you from our teachers, if you could please consider to donate to HaDerekh Synagogue. The link is in the description box below. Thank you for watching.
So, Hag Sukkot, the holiday of booths, the season of our joy, the Shekhinah dwelling with Israel, that comes from Vayikra, where the glory of Hashem is revealed in the Ananei HaKavod. Welcome to Sukkot. The Ananei HaKavod shows up multiple times in Tanakh and in the Besorah. And here are a few scenes. The guiding cloud. And Hashem went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them on the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light. That comes from Shemos chapter 13. This is the first appearance of the Anon as God's tangible guidance, symbolizing divine presence, protection, and leadership. Sifrei Bamidbar 83 and Rashi on Bamidbar 10 expand this into 7 clouds of glory that surround Israel. Front, left, back, right, top, bottom, and one going before us. Sound familiar, right? Okay, here's another one. The angel of God who went before the camp of Israel moved and went behind them, and the pillar of cloud moved from before them and stood behind them. So it came between the camp of the Mitzrayim and the camp of Israel to protect us. Here the Anon is both defensive and revelatory, shielding Israel while illuminating the night. Shemos 16 says, and it came to pass as Aharon spoke to the entire congregation, they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of Hashem appeared in the cloud. Behold, I come to you in a thick cloud, so the people may hear when I speak with you. And Har Sinai was all in smoke. Hashem descended upon it in fire, and the smoke ascended like the smoke of a furnace. That's Shemos 19. You know what happened in the next chapter. The Anon is a medium for interaction. The Kavod is paradoxically both hidden and manifest. We could see the cloud, but not the one hidden within. Moshe went up to the mountain, and the cloud covered the mountain. The glory of Hashem resided on Har Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days. And the appearance of the glory of Hashem was like a devouring fire on the top of the mountain. Here we see the revealed Kavod, Anon, and fire, a triad that reoccurs in later visions, especially Yehezkel chapter 1. Whenever Moshe entered the tent, the pillar of cloud descended and stood at the entrance of the tent, and Hashem spoke with Moshe there. And all the people saw the cloud standing at the entrance, and they all rose and they worshiped. Shemos 33. Here, the Anon marks the moment of communion, God's speaking presence. Then the Aron covered the Ochel Moed, which is the tent of meeting. Moshe could not enter because a cloud rested upon it, and the Kavod of Hashem filled the Mishkan. This is at the very tail end of the book of Shemos. This is the paradigmatic, one of these days I'm going to be able to say that word, indwelling moment. Subsequent biblical revelations involving the cloud consciously echo this verse. Yeah, when the Kohanim came out of the holy place and the cloud filled the house of Hashem so that the Kohanim could not stand to minister, for the Kavod of Hashem filled the house. That comes from Malachim Aleph, chapter 8. As an echo of Shemos 40, the portable cloud of the Mishkan settled permanently on the Mikdash, on the temple. The Kavod and the Anon together in one place indicate divine approval of the temple as Hashem's dwelling place. Just a couple more. Yeah, then Hashem will create over the whole site of Har Zion a cloud by day and smoke and shining of flaming fire by night. For over all the Kavod shall be a canopy, chuppah, and there shall be a sukkah for shade by night, and that comes from Yeshayahu chapter 4. It's important to note that Yeshayahu explicitly fuses the cloud of glory and the sukkah imagery and throws in a wee bit of marriage as well. This is the root of rabbinic and Besorah midrashim about the Ananei HaKavod at the end of days. The passage is cited in the Zohar and the Midrash as the messianic sukkah of divine protection. Tehillim chapter 18. He bowed the heavens, darkness was under his feet. He made darkness his secret place. His sukkah surrounding him was dark waters and thick cloud. Clouds and darkness are around him. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of his throne. These Mizmorim express the paradox. The Kavod is hidden in cloud, the mystery of concealment and revelation. Later rabbis synthesized all these into the concept of the Ananei HaKavod, clouds of glory. For instance, in Sifrot Vayikra 23, Rav Eliezer says, they were the Ananei HaKavod in which the Holy One surrounded Israel. In Midrash Tanchuma Beshalach, 7 clouds surrounded Israel, and the Shekinah was in their midst. Thus, the clouds of glory is the mobile, visible form of the Shekinah, the glory of God revealed in protective clouds. That cloud is designed to protect us. Every revelation of the Kavod in Tanakh occurs through the cloud, through Anan, whether at Sinai, in the Mishkan, the temple, or in a prophetic vision. These episodes form the theological spine of later Ananei HaKavod theology, the festival of Sukkot, and even the Besorah's overshadowing cloud on the mountain. Which overshadowing cloud, you ask?
Which overshadowing cloud?
I'm going to answer that. 6 days later, Yeshua took Kepha, Yaakov, and Yochanan and led them up to a high mountain privately. As they watched, he began to change form. And his clothes became dazzling white, whiter than anyone in the world could possibly bleach them. Then they saw Eliyahu and Moshe speaking with Yeshua. Kepha said to Yeshua, "It's good that we're here, Rabbi. Let's put up three sukkos, one for you, one for Moshe, and one for Eliyahu." He didn't know what to say. They were so frightened. Then a cloud enveloped them, and a voice came out of the cloud. "This is my son, whom I love. Listen to him." Suddenly, when they looked around, they no longer saw anyone with them except Yeshua. That's the version from Mark 9. There's also one in Luke, and there's also one in Matthew. So here's the scene. The setting is on a high mountain. Yeshua's face shone like the sun. His garments became radiant, and an Anan HaKavod overshadowed the Talmidim. And the characters, well, we begin with Yeshua, who walked up with Kepha, Yochanan, and Yaakov. Moshe and Eliyahu later appear and speak with Yeshua, providing a soundbite to the discussion, which you can read in Luke. Lastly, the Anan HaKavod, which conceals the voice of Hashem. And the reaction is priceless. "Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 sukkos, one for you, one for Moshe, and one for Eliyahu." This becomes a realization of the truth revealed in Yochanan chapter 1, verse 14, which states, "The Memra became flesh and tabernacled among us, and we beheld his glory as of the only Son from the Father." Shimon Kepha's reaction is an explicit bridge between Sinai, Sukkot, and the scene in the Besorah. His spontaneous response seems to interpret the event as a moment where the divine presence was among humans, requiring an appropriate dwelling. In Jewish mystical imagery, Sukkot marks the time when the Shekinah descends to dwell with us in joy. The transfiguration, for lack of a better term to use, presents an interpretation of that imagery. The Anan HaKavod descends, a divine voice speaks, and Yeshua is radiant with divine light. So here are the parallels. The cloud of glory covers Israel in the wilderness, and in the Besorah, the cloud overshadows the Talmidim. The Shekinah dwells in the Mishkan, and Hashem's voice comes from the cloud. In the Besorah, the divine voice speaks from the cloud. In Sukkot, Zaman Simchatenu, the joy of the presence of God. In the Besorah, Peter's awe-filled joy. It is good for us to be here. In Sukkot, 4 species and booths signify God's protection. In the Besorah, the radiant glory signifies divine presence and protection. Both events dramatize the meeting of heaven and earth under a divine cloud. Our mountain scene in the Besorah is not the first time an Anan HaKavod appears in the Besorah. In Luke chapter 1, Miriam is told, "The Ruach Kodesh will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you." The conception of Yeshua is framed as a Mishkan moment because the Shekinah overshadowed the new dwelling, the womb, just as it did in the Mishkan. The imagery doesn't stop there. But first, let's recall what the Anan HaKavod does in the Tanakh. It reveals and conceals the divine presence. It guides us. It fills the Mishkan and the temple. It signifies Hashem's favor. It signals Hashem's presence resting among us. It's frequently accompanied by a bas kol and a radiant light. In the Besorah, these features recur repeatedly, sometimes visibly, sometimes theologically. Here are some other examples to help solidify that point. In Acts chapter 1, verse 9, Yeshua has his Eliyahu moment. The text reads, "While they were looking on, he was lifted up, and a cloud took him out of their sight." This cloud is not meteorological. It is the Anan HaKavod. Refer to Shemos 40, where the cloud lifts when God departs, and Daniel 7:13, where one like the Son of Man coming with the clouds of heaven. It signals divine enthronement, not mere concealment. The angelic message, "He will return in the same way you saw him go," parallels the expectation of God's glory through Mashiach returning in the clouds from Yehezkel chapter 43. In Mark 13, Mattisyahu 24, and Revelation chapter 1, we find returning prophecies. In 1 Corinthians chapter 10, it mentions our fathers were all under the cloud and all passed through the sea, and were all mikvahd into Moshe in the cloud and in the sea. Shaul explicitly recalls the Anan HaKavod as a medium of salvation and guidance. He reminds us, just as Israel was encompassed by God's cloud, so too we are encompassed by the divine presence. Though not described as a cloud explicitly, several Besorah moments parallel Yehezkel's vision of the glory departing and returning. Luke 9 says he set his face to go up to Jerusalem. This parallels the Kavod's journey east in Yehezkel chapter 10 and 11. In Acts chapter 1, the cloud ascends from the Mount of Olives, the very mount from which Yehezkel says the Kavod returns. By the 1st century CE, the Anan HaKavod becomes a symbol for divine mediation, a way God could be present, visible, yet veiled. The Anan HaKavod in the Besorah serves its ancient Jewish role, revealing God's glory without consuming the onlooker. The Besorah's glory cloud is not an innovation, but a continuation and a personification of this long Jewish line of thought. The Kavod made visible is the divine presence that both overshadows and indwells. The Kavod guides and protects the faithful. Its presence marks moments of covenantal reassertion, just as it did in Shemos, Bamidbar, and Yehezkel. To put it simply, wherever the Besorah describes a cloud overshadowing or glory filling, it invokes the same Shekinah cloud that covered Sinai and the Mishkan, which is a symbol of God's protection, his radiance presence among his people. So the question is, why specifically Moshe and Eliyahu? Their presence is not important only in a simple way, law versus prophets, but deeply rooted in Torah patterns, covenantal roles, and eschatological expectations. Both men met God on Har Sinai, or Horeb, enveloped by cloud, fire, and a voice. In Shemos 19 through 24, Moshe was in the cloud for 40 days. In Malachim Aleph, Eliyahu travels 40 days to go to Horeb to hear that still small voice. Both saw the Kavod of God. Thus, their reappearance repackages the event as a new Sinai on an unidentified mountain. The same divine glory that spoke to Moshe and Eliyahu now shone around Yeshua. Moshe and Eliyahu, as witnesses of revelation, represent the pillars of Torah and Nevuah. They represent a breadths of God's revelation, Torah and prophecy, that now bear witness in a messianic fulfillment. This is reflected in Malachi chapter 3, where the Navi says, "Remember the Torah of Moshe. Behold, I will send you Eliyahu HaNavi before the great and terrible day of Hashem." By fusing, remember, Moshe's Torah with "I will send you Eliyahu HaNavi," these two return to create a messianic moment anticipated by both. Both Moshe and Eliyahu stood within the cloud of glory. The cloud covered the mountain in Shemos 24. In Malachim 19, Hashem passed by, and a great and strong wind rent the mountain and broke the rocks in pieces. But Hashem was in the still small voice. Similarly, Mattisyahu 17, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and a voice from the cloud spoke. This is the same motif of Kavod Hashem manifested through the Anon, showing revelational continuity with Israel's prophetic history. There seems to be an eschatological fulfillment in our passage as well. Malachi predicts Eliyahu's return before the day of Hashem. The Messianic herald, Eliyahu's presence signals the Messianic age is dawning. Devarim 18 foretells of a prophet like Moshe. So Moshe's presence signals that this figure embodies the prophetic mediation between God and humanity. Together, they validate the messianic identity of the one in their midst. The revelation of Yeshua, Moshe, and Eliyahu is the most explicit Anon HaKavod moment in the Besorah. This bright cloud is the Anon HaKavod covering Sinai and the Mishkan. The voice echoes Shemos 24, Devarim 5. The Talmidim feared as they entered the cloud. That comes from Luke 9. Echoing Israel's fear at Sinai. It is essentially a Sinai revelation restaged, the Kavod Hashem descending upon the mountain. Moshe and Eliyahu appear because they are the two human beings in Tanakh who most directly encountered the divine glory, and they were transformed by it. Both were promised eschatological roles. At the mountaintop encounter, they stand as witnesses that the Kavod Hashem they knew at Sinai and Horeb now rests upon Yeshua. Or in the words of early Midrashic style interpretation, Moshe came from the realm of the dead, Eliyahu came from the realm of the living. Together they bear witness that the living one, Hashem, holds both worlds in his light. Good Shabbos.